Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Daniel Saul Show, where your passion meets the truth. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing football, specifically the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes. If he wins a third championship, a three-peat, will he be the GOAT over Tom Brady? But before this video continues and gets any further, let me quickly remind you to go down in the description, check out the links to my socials. Go follow them and check it out, because there will be highlights and clips from the show if you missed the action here on YouTube. Let's get into it. So the question here today is, if Patrick Mahomes three-peats this season, will he be the GOAT over Tom Brady? Well, I would say no. He isn't going to be the GOAT over Tom Brady. I think this will put him over Joe Montana for him to be the number 2 spot of all time. And I say that because there's a lot of things that go into Tom Brady and what he did over his career, what made him the greatest of all time. Not just because he has 7 rings, ladies and gentlemen, because he is a leader, okay? He led his team. His IQ, his leadership, like I said, on and off the field was tremendous and something that we have never seen before. And because of that, that's what makes him the greatest of all time. So, Patrick Mahomes, yes, he is more skillful. He has more talent than Tom Brady, and more talent than Tom Brady will ever have. He can make any throw possible on the field, in any angle. That's how great Patrick Mahomes is. But the reality of the situation is that Tom Brady couldn't do that. But everything else that he could do is greater than what Mahomes can do at this point of his career. You got to understand, Patrick Mahomes has only been in the league for 6 or 7 years. So that's not a long enough time to consider him the GOAT. But you can consider him a top 3 quarterback, which he is right now. Okay, he won 2 in a row. He has 3 rings. So if he wins a 4th championship in three-peats, something that we have never seen in a very long time. We haven't seen this in a very long time, ladies and gentlemen. In the NFL, we haven't seen a three-peat in such a long time. And so because of that, that will put him in the top 2 and over Joe Montana. And I say over Joe Montana just for a few things. Number 1, Joe Montana is 4-0 in the Super Bowl. He never threw an interception, never threw a pick in the Super Bowl. We don't like our quarterbacks throwing interceptions, number 1. That's the main thing. We don't want them throwing picks. We want them to be accurate and as accurate as you could possibly be. Now, because he didn't throw an interception and because he's 4-0, that's equivalent to the Jordan 6-0 in the NBA Finals with never going to a Game 7. That's equivalent to that. The only thing is that now if Mahomes three-peats, because Joe Montana never three-peated, ever. So when you talk about three-peats, which is very hard to do in any sport with a series, or not a series, but any sport, okay, three-peating is very hard. So my point to you is if he three-peats, I think that making 4 Super Bowls tied with Joe Montana, I think a three-peat is a lot harder and a lot more difficult and a lot more formidable than 0 interceptions in the Super Bowls in which he won. I think that's a greater value. So because I think that's a greater value, I will give Patrick Mahomes the edge over Joe Montana in that aspect. Now, that makes him number 2. He's not going to be the greatest. This would make him in the conversation of the greatest of all time, just like how LeBron James is in the conversation as the GOAT with Michael Jordan. He would be in that conversation. He would be able to have that conversation with Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, which we already have, but it would be a lot more of a legitimate conversation and a lot more reasonable. And I think that it would be, something that we could actually debate on instead of just, making up some stuff saying, well, because he's more talented, he's better, or all this extra stuff. No, he actually proved himself. And he's a winner. He three-peated. He got the job done. And that's just the fact of the matter. But before I get done with this segment, I just want to go and look at player by player what they've done over the first 7 seasons of their career. Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. So let's look at it. So when you look at Patrick Mahomes, right, and I'm going to have this on the screen as well. MVP awards, Patrick Mahomes has 2 compared to Brady's 0. Like I said, this is the first 7 years of their career. Playoff win-loss record, 13-3 for Mahomes, 12-2 for Brady, so it's about even. if I had to say. AFC title games, they both have 3, as you can see and very well know. Super Bowls, they both have 3. And passing yards, this is where Mahomes gets the edge on him on top of MVP awards. He has 28,757 in the playoffs. That's how many passing yards he has, compared to Brady with 21,564, which this is a big difference. This is over 7,000 yards of a difference. Yes, I understand the game has evolved and it has changed, and they pass all over the lot. They throw the ball over the lot all the time, and that's just how it works nowadays. But Tom Brady was throwing the ball a lot because he just was. He was throwing the ball a lot in his career, and so I don't want to hear that excuse. And then passing touchdowns, 222 to 147. Patrick Mahomes is another edge. So in this category, he has more wins in the playoffs, but he has one more loss. He has 2 more MVPs than Brady does because he had 0. They have the same amount of AFC title games and Super Bowls that they have won. And Mahomes has more passing yards and touchdowns. So he's leading him in the first 7 years of their careers, player by player. Mahomes is doing better than Tom Brady. So just because of that, people are going to say, well, he is the GOAT, but he's only played for 7 years. Do you understand? Tom Brady won 4 more championships after these 7 years. He won 4 more. 4. He was more of a leader. He was more of a veteran. He had more experience. He was a better player after these 7 years. We don't know what could happen to Patrick Mahomes. We don't know if Mahomes could get injured. We don't know if it could be an injury that will ruin his career. God bless him if that happens. I really hope it doesn't. But I'm just saying, you got to be real and you have to be aware, and you got to understand, don't be naive. You got to think of every possible outcome. And the outcome, which we hope to be, is he wins more championships. And if he three-peats, that puts him in the conversation. But the reality is anything can happen after this 7th season that he just got done with. So in his 8th season coming up, if he three-peats, that will put him in the conversation. I think it will put him number 2 all-time quarterbacks. But that's all he can get if he three-peats. If he wins another ring, then he's seriously in the conversation. They're at the same dinner table, and I think that's a real good argument you could have to put Mahomes as the greatest, even though he doesn't have 7 rings, even if he wins 2 more as of right now. Wait, hold up. Before this video ends, make sure you go like, turn on post notifications on as always, and comment. Let me know what you think about this video, and if you want to see more greatness and more amazing takes from me, Daniel Sauls, make sure you go subscribe to my channel. And go follow my other socials down in the description. Check them out. You'll see highlights and little clips from the show. If you can't get all of the action from the 10 minutes or however long the video is, make sure you go check that out. Because I'll be back with more videos and more clips on the Daniel Sauls Show. Peace out, y'all.